Alright, let's go. It's your boy Malloy. We do it for the people. Yeah, 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 yeah. We do it for the people. Yeah, 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 yeah. We do it for the people. Talking about your dreams, talking about everything, yeah. We do it for the people. Showing you how to go get that bag and what it means to be black in America.
There you go.
What's up, baby?
What up, Pops?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
How you feeling?
Man, look, the traffic, buddy. I left in good time to get home. We had a little rainstorm, but it is what it is.
Traffic crazy?
Godmama was driving for me, so you know we almost had about 19 wrecks, but she's still my girl, you know.
Pastor, I am so excited to have you on this show with me. I mean, I guess I probably don't need to tell you what you mean to me and what you have done for my music career, probably without even knowing. Just the greatest voice I've ever heard in my life.
Man, I'm country, buddy.
Listen, I'm going to talk. This is what I want to talk about. I'm trying to get my little situation together. This is what I want to talk about. Pastor, I want to talk about the stuff that people don't typically ask you. I want to talk about when you first realized that you had something special. When you could sing, when you can write. Like, when did you start doing that?
The writing came from me playing football, actually, at maybe 11 or so. My mom signed me up for piano lessons. And y'all go follow this dude. I had a best friend by the name of Chip Sharon. He's a bass player. He's a killer bass player in LA. And his grandmother was teaching me piano lessons. Well, Travis, piano lessons and football practice happened at the same time. So I learned how to forge his grandmother's name, Margaret Sharon. It's a big M and an S and some scribble. And I would keep the $5, forge her name, go to football practice. But my mom would check me when I come home and say, "What did you learn today?" So I had to learn how to create little piano melodies. So I would be like, "Yo, so I'm dee-ba-boo-ba-gee-goo-ba." Next week it would be gee-goo-boo-gee-goo-ba. So I would learn how to create. And then I didn't know what it was, but I knew I could hear something. And I could repeat it with my fingers, you know. And so I would then go and really learn some of the complex lessons by ear. So learning to forge a name and steal $5 taught me how to create and write songs. So I did it for 2 years until I got busted. She retired, and when she retired, my mom saw in the grocery store and said, she said, "John is doing so good." This is my mother talking. "He's playing for the male chorus at the church. Thank you for all." She said, "I don't teach John." She said, "John comes over to my house and plays with my grandson, but I hadn't seen John in the piano studio in over 2 years." So my mama didn't bust me. She came home and said, "What are you playing for the recital?" Miss Sharon was going to retire that Sunday. And I said, I let the lie roll. I said, "I've already started working on my piece." So I wrote a song at 11 or 12 years old. And I featured that song on one of my projects. If you Google it now, John P. Key, Mama's Choice. That's the very song I wrote at 12 years old. And that's what playing at the recital. I get to the recital and my name's on the program. What a God we serve. They set me up. So I went all the way through it, played the song, standing ovation, and then they beat my tail, brother. You understand me? Like old fashioned. Where you show out at, you remember it. But
see, people don't really. people don't really know that you really, really play. You don't just tinkle. You let the young kids play for you right now, but you was doing all the production by yourself back in the
If
day.
I had to play, I would. I'm super lazy. I'm super lazy. Even with the some of the production, I'll do what I have to do. If it's missing, I'll come in. I'm just a funk guy now. I'll do a clavinet or a little EP every now and then. But I love the young guys doing it, man. And I school them. Trust me, I stay on them. And I'm just honored, you know, still to be relevant musically, you know.
That's incredible. I want to ask this. I don't think I've ever heard nobody ask you this question. How did the record deal happen? I want to know who signed you, who gave you your first opportunity, who gave you that deal that changed your life. How did a record deal happen for John P. Key with an album in stores and things like that? How did that meeting happen?
Well, let me go back to John P. Key, the writer. I never wanted to be a singer. I learned how to sing because my brothers, at 14, I graduated from school. I left North Carolina School of the Arts and I went out to Cali. And I lived out in California for a few years. And my brothers, you know, they were killer musicians. Al, Wayne, killer guitars. Al was one of the original cats that I played for Rufus, that iconic line on Let's Do It Again. That's my brother. And so they're playing for these NCO clubs, and I can't really get in. I'm 14 years old, and the only way I thought I could really get in, my musicianship wasn't there yet. I started singing a bunch of Donny Hathaway standards and things of that nature. So it kind of opened a door for me. So I just really wanted to be a writer. So I mimicked Stevie Wonder. I mimicked a guy named Rudy Gay Senior. Rudy Gay, the basketball player, is his father. And he did a song, Moving On. There are times when the world seems cold. And I would mimic that song. Moving on, yes. And I'd sit in front of the record player, learn it. And when I finally got it, my brothers would let me, you know, roll with them and sing with them. And that just really, really made the difference in my life, man. So I was to sing. So I never really wanted to be a singer. Even as a writer for James Cleveland, Edwin Hawkins, Vanessa Bell, Daryl Coley, all the early heavy hitters, I never really wanted to sing. My singing came by in the gospel industry. I hired a guy to sing Jesus Lives in Me in Houston, Texas, with Edwin for the Edwin Hawkins Music and Art Seminar. And the guy blew it, man. This guy literally got drunk the day of the session. So I had to sing. If you Google that song now, you'll hear I'm hoarse. I sound like I literally got rocks in my throat, man. I've been teaching all week, but watch this, man. I didn't have the range of Daryl Coley. I didn't have the range of Walter Hawkins. I didn't have the range of so many of the gospel artists at that time. So I tried to use a bunch of acrobatics, you know. And I was doing all that stuff, just trying to keep the people's attention. So they stood up and applauded me, man. I thought I was doing big things. So that actually started the singing aspect of who John P. Key is.
Okay. So when did you get a record deal?
My record deal came a little later. We recorded a record at State Temple in Houston, Texas, when Rhonda and Macklemore and all of those guys were young kids. And Derek Dirksen heard it. He was managing Commission at the time. And people don't know I actually did hits with Commission early on. I was another keyboard player. Michael Brooks brought me in anytime I was in the city or I was in the city they were in. I'd sit in with them. And so that's why I've been friends for decades. Derek Dirksen heard me and lost it. He was like, man, you need a deal. And he went to Ty Scott and they mastered the deal. So Ty Scott Records really gave me my first platform. And the rest was history, man. Even when I left Ty Scott and moved on to Jive in New York, I did what I thought was monumental. I wanted to take them along with me. So I included them in my deal. Now that I'm older and I'm looking back, I should have left them in Indianapolis because, you know, some things happen and, you know, I still don't quite understand. But they were good to me. They were good to me.
So you went from Ty Scott and you went over to Jive, and that was Clive Calder and Barry Weiss.
That's right. Absolutely.
How was that? What was that connection? Vanessa Bell was already there.
Vanessa was the only one there. Vanessa and I literally named the company. When Vanessa got there, we just had a conversation one night, Van and I, about Jive Records and being a gospel label, and Jive Records just didn't gel. So we actually named the company, and wow, it was really interesting those years.
Speaking of Verity Records, my manager, Miss Tara Griggs McGee, is online.
My baby.
So you got the record deal, Pastor. When did you become Pastor John P. Key? When did you start New Life Community Center?
I was actually rolling with the gospel music, and I was really heavy on the workshop scene, GMWA, Edwin Hawkins Music and Arts. And I got an open door with Michael Brooks, started the Young Artists for Christ out of Detroit, Down on My Knees and all those tunes. I'm going to go listen to those songs tonight because somebody asked me about it earlier. But it opened a door for me. I was in Southfield, Michigan, room 233 at the Red Roof Inn, and praying, asking God for what was next. I just kind of reached that place. I won all the awards. I had Grammy nods. I had Stellars. I don't know how many at that time. But, and the Lord audibly, I love saying this, called me to preach. I mean, it was a time I'll never forget, man. I'm on my face before him. And, man, it changed my whole outlook, or the trajectory, if you would, of where John P. Key was going. I always ministered on the street. New Life was never a choir that was formed to sing. Ike and I were talking the other day. New Life was always a street ministry. We'd go down on Trade Street in Charlotte, rehearse, if you would. People would come from all over the country. A lot of people remember this. And then we would leave and go to some of the horrible areas in Charlotte, North Carolina, and really minister to the homeless. Something I still do to this day. So I love
Still to this day. Now, let me ask you this. You often talk about your testimony with, you know, being in the drug game and, you know, selling drugs and doing, you know, being that street guy. Right. When you got famous and became John P. Key, the gospel star, did those street guys, did those drug dealer guys, how did they respond to your transition? Did they support you?
You know what? To this day, when I tell you I got stupid street cred, man, they still love me, man. Let me tell you who I was in the game. I didn't just sell dope out of a grocery store. On Fridays, I would have all the beer and wine guys come down when they would stock my store. I would buy everything that was still in the truck, and then I would actually service all what we call in the country the liquor houses. I would service the liquor houses on Friday and Saturday night. So I got silly respect on the street. So even after God saved me, I didn't leave my hood. Right now, I own almost 50 acres right there in the heart of the city in Charlotte, and I'm just beginning to develop it. As of about a month ago, I sold a parcel when you get off of 77. Last week, the Holy Ghost spoke to me about a piece that's right in front of my church. It's about 7 acres. I was angered when they tore my hood down because they did what they do all over America. They come in, they claim that something's wrong. In my hood, they said that it was a pest problem, and they ripped these apartments double up, and they put out all the seniors that have been there 35, 40 years, promising them that they would have affordable housing and bring them back in and they'd have first dibs. Well, the houses they brought back to the area now called Bright Walk are $300,000, $350,000, $500,000 homes in the hood.
Wow.
Grandma can't afford that. The Lord spoke to me last week. I'm getting ready to develop the piece in front of me, partner with a developer, and we're going to build some affordable housing for my people. So I'm excited about that.
This is why you are who you are. And even though it's a later question of mine, but I want to talk about this because people don't know that you have been investing. I told somebody said, what does John P. Key do other music? I said, John P. Key owns the entire Charlotte. He's the man of Charlotte. I want to talk about this. I always say you're one of the richest men in gospel music, but it ain't from just the music. It's from you investing your money and doing right with it. And it's from you giving
Hey,
back.
if the IRS is watching, he's a liar. He's a liar.
Rich in spirit. Listen, this is what I want to know. Just because you said that, Pastor, I want you to, how do we encourage the young kids that now are maybe get a publishing deal for $100,000? What would you tell them now to be able to invest and save just in case another pandemic comes and people are not out of jobs? What would you say to do? What are some different things that people can do to invest their money?
Well, I don't want to crush anybody's dreams, but $100,000 deals are not out there anymore because the companies are hurting. They're hurting. That's the real truth. And if they are, somebody tell me, because I've got some artists I want to carry there right now.
Right.
You got to invest. When everybody else was buying shiny shoes like Bobby Jones and glitter on their collar like Bobby, and I love Bobby, but when people were purchasing those items, John P. had a sweatsuit on, maybe 2 suit jackets, and you know, I always knew how to place money. There's a guy in Cleveland, Ohio, by the name of Jerry. I'll just call him Jerry, who taught at the Edwin Hawkins Music and Art Seminar years ago. I've always blessed him over the years because Jerry taught us how to appreciate the dollar and how to invest in ourselves. So even with my sons now, my sons are 23 and 19, and you would be surprised how wise they are concerning money. My daughter's 13, 15, and my baby girl's in 17. I'm teaching them how to invest in yourself and how to be disciplined. My area in the area of finances is being disciplined. So when the pandemic came, I too was shook just for a second. I was getting ready to move on with my life. I was getting ready to buy a home. I was going to do all of these things. And as soon as the pandemic hit, I had a day of fear. And the Lord spoke to me and asked me 3 things. He said, who am I? 3 words, gave me 3 words and said, who am I? I had to remember what I've been teaching for years. I had to remember the principles that I stood on, the principles that I was teaching, the principles that was my inner logos, if you would, my inner logic, and I had to apply them to myself. And here's what I did during the pandemic. I didn't stop. Everything that was in my plan, everything that was in my view, I continued to pursue musically. I'm still working. I'm still working on projects. The project that I started before Whitney Houston died, 10 Women, 10 Victories. I'm going to finish that project. The project, you know about this one, the project Tribute to the Prince project. I'm going to finish that one.
That's the one I'm on.
That's one you're on.
That's the one I'm on.
The church one project. I'm going to finish those things. So I want to encourage everybody with that. With my finances, what I've been able to do is to always be a visionary. And God is so faithful, man. He's never allowed me to fall in a ditch. You know, he's always given me clarity in my vision. So, and whatever I can do to encourage people, man, in that area, that's what I've been commanded to do. Gospel artists are hurting. Secular artists are hurting. And they call Uncle John. They call the Godfather for just advice. You know, what must I do?
Yep.
And I want to speak to the gospel artists that are here today, that are looking. You know, be true, be honest with yourself as to where you are. Faith is not lying to yourself. Faith is speaking something that's bigger than you. Faith is walking a transparent platform that can't nobody see sometimes but you. And you don't fall because you understand who God is in the gnoskos, who God is in the Word of God, man. So I really want to encourage everybody in that area today. Just because of this pandemic does not mean you have to commit spiritual suicide. Stand on what you know.
Pastor, that's incredible. Another big investment of yours that I've watched through the years, which is a reason why you get such an amazing return, is the investment that you've made in artists. There are so many singers that have come from your platform from the last 30 years. There are so many people that got their start singing with you, traveling with you, and that's a huge investment. And you have no choice but to reap what you sow.
It is from, I can name a few. June Thompson started.
Yeah, let's name some. Name some of the singers that come from you.
June Thompson, Isaac Correa, of course, Lowell, Zacardi, I raised from a baby kid, you know. There's so many more. Micah Stampley came out
Wow.
of VIP. Yeah, absolutely. James Fortune came out of VIP.
Wow.
So many people, man.
So many.
So many. And what we've been able to do over the years is love them back. Be a blessing to them. I call on them when I'm doing projects. They're still a part of who and what I am. Travis Brown, the great management guy, manager.
I remember.
Singer, man, right in my camp. So there are so many people that I love and respect.
Listen, now, some of the legendary.
A few of them became grandiose, you know, and I give them that.
Listen,
if that's where your career took you, go do what you do. But I watch them because they slowly fade, because you can't get so big that you forget where you come from. You got to acknowledge that.
Wow. Shout out. Can you still see me, Pastor?
I can.
Okay. Shout out to Gina Miller. She's on here.
Yeah. Let me talk about her. Gina Miller is
E1 executive.
Yeah, Gina, and everybody knows her as the exec. I don't want to talk about Gina, the exec. Gina is, wow. Gina and I had a conversation. This is after I signed with E1. And I probably shouldn't give this up, but hey, I'm Pastor Key. I'm Uncle John, and ain't nobody going to step in.
That's right.
Gina and I had a conversation about the business and how it intersects with life and all of that good stuff. And it just created a great platform for us. So, you know, I love my relationship with E1. I'm sure it's going to continue. But if we cut off tomorrow, Gina will always be dear to my heart, because I saw what she went through without complaining. I saw the enemy really try her, being a Black woman of strength, you know. And she's got
great encourager.
Yeah,
great encourager.
Encourager. And she has this vibe where she's not intimidated by anything. And if she is, she does what I teach all the time. She's going to shed them tears in the closet, but when she comes out, she's going to come out swinging. So Gina is one of the few people. There are so many, Tara, you mentioned earlier. There are so many great women in the industry. One day I just did a post with all of their faces, and I didn't get a lot of likes. And I know why, but at the end of the day, it was those women, Jeanette Taylor and Sheila Lakin, that are still with me. And they've taken it, man. People have dogged Sheila and Jeanette like beyond measure, man. And
listen, I gotta listen. I'm not rushing with you, because you are the GOAT, and I gotta get these questions out. And the reason why is because every time you say something, it sparks me to think of something. Loyalty and commitment is so far and few nowadays. Talk about what it means to have people loyal and in your team, like Jeanette and Sheila have been with you over 30 years. What is that like to have a friendship like that, to be with you so long?
Jeanette, let me deal with Jeanette by herself, man. Jeanette Taylor, first of all, has just been an honorable friend, and she takes it. She's my girlfriend. Then they call her a boy. They call her all kinds of stuff. And I say that because we get to laugh at it.
Right.
That has been more sister to me than some of my bloodline. And I'm sure some of my family will get offended. I don't care. Jeanette has been family to me and will always be. Jeanette and Sheila, I will retire knowing that they never have to work another day in their life. Sheila retired a couple of years back. She has an amazing house. I just built her deck on the back of a crib. It won't for nothing. Sheila actually runs my finances, and she's the best. I never call Sheila and ask her for, let me get a balance today. I just don't have to. They have been super loyal. Jeanette, I just moved in my new house. I didn't have to come to the house. Jeanette went in, decorated for me. You know, they're just good, solid people, and they come from testimony. You know, Jeanette's father, the late Apostle Taylor, was a true man of God. Right out of where you're from. They're all from
Pittsburgh.
So, you know, just good, wholesome people, and has been there. I can relax today. I can sow seed back into hundreds and thousands of people because of Jeanette and Sheila's leadership as management.
That is incredible. Listen, the legendary former Sony music executive Corey Rooney is online right now watching.
That's cool. Corey.
One of your biggest fans like me, and our favorite song is I Belong gracefully after all that you have done gracefully. So we're gonna talk about that in a second. So this is what I gotta talk about. Vanessa Bell Armstrong, The Secret Is Out album. I gotta tell you about this. That album was presented to me and my family, and we fell in love with it. That's all we listened to was Vanessa Bell, The Secret Is Out. We didn't want to hear anybody else. Somebody brought John P. Key's Strength album to me and said, you need to check out John P. Key's Strength. I was a young boy. I said, I don't want to hear no John P. Key. If it ain't Vanessa Bell and The Secret Is Out, I'm not interested. So some years go by, and I finally give John P. Key and the Strength album a chance, and it was like life-changing. I had never heard anything like it in my life, and I did my research and come to find out that John P. Key wrote and produced the entire Vanessa Bell, The Secret Is Out album, and I said I knew that there was a kindred spirit there somehow, and now John P. Key is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. Let's talk about just the partnership of you and Vanessa Bell. We often say are the Brandy and Rodney Jerkins of gospel. You all are the Timberland and Aaliyah of gospel. What was that partnership like?
First of all, I was a fan of Vanessa's for years. And Vanessa, just like Gina Miller, I saw her as just a woman of strength, just a woman of integrity. She was respected in the industry. She took her craft very serious. And my biggest desire was to work for her. I don't really remember the first time. May have been a VIP she came in. But here's what you know already, because we've discussed this before. I owe Vanessa a record. I produced that record, but that record was released before I finished it. Some of the tracks on that record were the dummy tracks that were sent in for Vanessa to sing to. Many people know the story, so I'm going to go and tell it. I was at Battery Studios in New York working upstairs. I had my own key, my access to the studio daily. And the engineer I was working with on Vanessa's record, just like Teddy Pendergrass and some of the people I produced over the years, when I would show up, I'd show up with my gear, I'd show up with my rack, and a lot of the engineers would laugh at me. I'm a country boy. I didn't have the latest gimmicks, but I knew I had quality coming out of my gear, Same thing happened with Vanessa. So I'm working with Vanessa, and the engineer is watching hockey. And he was a hockey guy, and he was watching hockey. And we would mix something, and I would try to do Total Recall. It wouldn't sound like it did. So I'm hood. I was more hood back then than I am now. So I actually stepped to him. I grabbed him in his collar, man. It was an ugly little scene. So I'm thinking that all the people at Jive would just get me another engineer. I'm the producer. This guy's been disrespectful. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. Instead, they wanted to love everybody. They wanted John P. Key pleased and him to be pleased. They released the record as is. So I always say, I owe Vanessa another record, but I love the record. Secret Is Out was written just for her. I wrote her some more music. I wrote
Tear.
Tears are hot too. But I wrote another song for Vanessa on another record, The Oil of God. Amen. And if you listen to The Oil of God, Vanessa didn't know I was in the building. I was at Bishop Marvin Winans' church, and I screamed from the back right in the middle of the song. And Vanessa, to me, is a phenomenal vocalist. And, man, she's a dear heart to me. And everybody knows me, I love me some Vanessa Bell Armstrong.
Oil of God. That is an amazing song. Listen, you gave me a lot of the confidence that I have in what I do, being able to write worship songs, write love songs. I mean, this is what you do. You're a writer. As Tar Griggs McGee told me back in the day, she said they didn't have to leave the label if they wanted a song. They signed somebody. They said John P. Key can produce the whole album. Who are some of the R&B artists that you work with?
Wow.
Throughout the year?
Quite a few. I don't want to throw my publishing game off, but quite a few. I've worked with everybody, man. Let me just put it out there like that. I've been like a ghostwriter and ghost producer for years, and it's how I'm able to eat.
I love it. I love it. So
I'll tell you what,
what's next?
I'll tell you one. Years ago, I had the opportunity to be MD for Phyllis Hyman. before
Pittsburgh.
she.
That's Pittsburgh.
Right, absolutely. And some of the NCO clubs out west, I was able to do dates with her. And on this 10 Women, 10 Victories, we're going to revisit that. I'm doing some things, and I might include you. I work with Whitney Houston was my baby. Anybody that knows Whitney, I knew Nippy for real, knows she loved her some John P. Key. And right now, I'm actually working on a tune with Bobby right now. And the 10 Women, 10 Victory record was also produced in mind for the late, great Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. So there's a song on I've heard. So just look out for some great, great things, man. But being able to write for people, I call that my forte. Yeah, if you give me that artist and send me something that you really enjoy, or they send me something, I've moved it up a notch up now. I tell the artist, send me the title of a song that you would want to sing if you wrote your own song. And I don't have to, they don't have to sing a melody, just send me a title. And I got this little crazy gift, man. I go in my mind and I see them walking out on stage and grabbing a microphone and singing a song we've never heard before. And it comes like that.
You are literally one of the greatest writers. I'm just sitting here thinking of the song. I used to listen to it every day when I had to been in high school, 9th grade. You wrote a song for your daughter and said, Sakaya, oh, 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 I really do love you.
She's 17 now. That song is written like 17.
Ain't that something? She was a baby on that song.
She was a baby. Kaya now, and she's an amazing artist. She paints and draws. I can sing a little too. She's at SCAD, went to college at 14, graduated high school early like her dad. I'm really, really proud of that one. She's amazing.
Amazing. I'm so honored to have you, Pastor. I want to leave you with this. I lost my father at the age of 13 years old. And that was around the same time that I found out about John P. Key. And I wanted you to be my dad so bad after losing my father at 13. And I literally watched you on video and imagined you being my father because you were just so fatherly. I watched how you raised your kids. Yeah. I watched how you raised the singers that came from you, and I wanted that. And I remember me and one of my best friends, we drove to meet you in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was actually the night you released Life in Favor. And I believe this was maybe 2011. Right. And we drove there. We didn't have no place to stay. We didn't know where we were going to stay.
When was it again?
This was about 2011.
That's right. That's right.
And I got there. We didn't have a place to stay. And you looked at me and you said, hey, thank you for coming to support me. I'm getting you a room. And you and Sheila and Gillette put me and one of my best friends in a room. And you immediately became that father figure in person that I always wanted. So I just want to tell you, thank you, Dad.
Let me say this about you. And it's funny, we're talking about you on the way here. Just your genuineness and your ability to interpret who you are through your music has been a blessing. You've always shown me love, not just in my presence, but away from me. And I just speak volumes. And whoever robbed you, they just better be glad I wasn't in the car because it wouldn't have went the way it went. No, sir. No, but I respect you highly, man. And I appreciate you for that love that you've always shown. And I just speak great things, man, in your path, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Pops. Just end it like this. What's next? What are you working on right now? What you got going on?
A couple of things. I'm working on the movie. I got 5 more scenes to shoot in the movie about my father, who passed in 81. But the movie talks about him in 1947, who convinced 21 people to go with him to New York and sign a record deal and record. And the name of the group was the Southland Gospel Singers. And so we tell this story in the movie. It's an amazing movie. If you love the Clock Sisters, you're going to love the story of John Henry Key. On the way to New York, they turned the bus around. The Ku Klux Klan does in North Carolina and shoot the tires out of the back of the bus. And we literally show that in the movie. And they literally walk back to Durham. My daddy's discouraged, never wants to really sing again. And what he does is he turns it for the good. He has 16 children, 6 boys, Trudell, Preston, Al, Wayne, Jimmy, and John. And he decides to never name a son after him. But
Wow.
right before mom's on the way to give birth to me, they need somebody to drive the car. And Prince Pete's from Pennsylvania. Their cousin says, I'll drive for you, but you got to name the baby after me. So my dad, like, no, you got to be crazy, but he needs that ride. So they agree to name the baby. So dad says, well, you're not going to put your tag on that baby without me putting mine. So that's how I become John Prince Key. And so the movie's great, man. It talks about him in 1975. Shirley Caesar, when I was a kid, used to have these gigantic concerts. So we recreate that at the Armory in Durham. And they line up at the Armory, man, like they used to do on Sunday evenings. And everybody shows up. The Hawkins family. Zeke's song plays Walter. Samote, the singer, plays Edwin.
Yeah.
I've got Lena Bird playing Tremaine. It's just a good movie, man. It's a solid movie. Charisma out of Dallas, Texas, plays Mahalia Jackson. And we have a group, we have the Lonely Four. Of course, I changed these names, so don't nobody start trying to sue me. I took care of that. One of my buddies, I just saw him online, Chubbs, he's in the movie. He plays a bass player at the club, the Chicken Shack. So it's a good movie. I don't want to give it up too much, but it's a great movie, man. Queen Mother, the sensation, the lady that plays the guitar on Facebook. She's in the movie. She plays my daddy's aunt. So just it's a good movie, man. And my son John plays my father up into 35, and my father in the gospel, Bishop Ransom.
This is incredible.
Ransom,
listen,
my dad.
I'm getting ready to do probably sometime this year. I think I'm gonna put me a little John P. Key tribute album out myself, just a little EP, just 5 of my favorite songs, just my tribute to you. Thank you so much, Pops, for making time for me.
I appreciate you, man. Hey, y'all continue to pray for us. Those that didn't watch the video know that we're going crazy in the inner city. If you want to sow a seed, you can. It's $outreach 1337. $outreach 1337. We're going crazy this week, blessing the homeless. We've already bought grills. We've been grilling out every day. Amen. They're being responsible, feeding the hood, the city.
Let me put mine up here.
Get them out of the city. And we're doing what God's commanded us to do. You do what you can do in your neighborhood too concerning the homeless. And man, keep us in your prayer.
Pops, love you to death. I'll hit you later.
Man. God bless.
Thank you.
All right, let's go. It's your boy Malloy.